Wow. Well, Julio, thank you for those comments. My goodness. And look at this, the class of 2022. You guys finally did it. Let's do it. I cannot think of a graduating class that's been through more than you've been through. You know, you're graduating from one of the most renowned engineering schools and one of the most well-rounded engineering schools in the world. And Dino Tino, I must say congratulations to you. Your election last month to the National Academy of Sciences says it all. You know, membership in the Academy is one of the highest honors bestowed to a scientist in the U.S. Now, Dino Tino is one of 10 McCormick faculty who've been bestowed this honor. Yet over the years, another 30-plus McCormick faculty have been elected to the National Academy of Engineering, the National Academy of Arts and Sciences, and the National Academy of Medicine. Together, they stand as a profound testament to the value of your diploma that you're about to receive, and it has that McCormick seal of excellence that's reflected in all of you. So I am really delighted because it is another generation of McCormick graduates. So I'm delighted to be here to celebrate your graduation and to honor your family, your friends, and all of those that helped you on your journey, which I will tell you today, you will come back to reflect on and feel lucky for having been on that journey. I have a deep love for McCormick. I remember walking through those giant hallowed doors of tech and like trying to find my way down each one of the hallways, working late nights in the sub-basement. I mean, this was really something I never understood, that I would come to look back on that journey as having been so important to my future. I never would have anticipated that impact. Now, since that time, Dino Tino mentioned that I've served on the McCormick Advisory Board and now the Board of Trustees, and I've had a front row seat to seeing the important changes that have taken place in this university that are shaping your world-class education. You are a different kind of engineer, and it's been a remarkable journey. So I choose to invest my time with Northwestern because I believe so strongly in the mission of the university. And I can see what an enormous impact that it's made on me and many of my fellow alumni colleagues. Now today is really an extraordinary time to be graduating. So if you think about it, we're on the heels of a global pandemic. Julio mentioned many of these things. We have the largest war in Europe since World War II, and at the same time, innovation is moving at this breakneck speed, right? AI, machine learning, we're in the middle of an emerging metaverse. I mean, what does the future hold? So, as if you needed any help in remembering today, you certainly will not forget this moment for what a unique period of time that it is. And it's in this uncertain time that you and your engineering talents are needed by our world more than ever. And as I think about this, I think back to my graduation, and I can remember sitting right where you were, and I was excited, I was relieved, and to be honest, I was a little bit anxious. I had a great job lined up, but I knew that everything in my life was about to change. Now, at my company, Accenture, we have a slogan. It says, "Let there be change," okay? And I've helped companies navigate some of the most profound technological changes in the world. So I know firsthand that change, it can be powerful, it can be exciting, but it can be really unnerving, okay? And using that idea of change to really shape your future, shape our shared future, that's a pretty powerful idea. So today I want to share 3 lessons that I learned about using change as a catalyst. 3 lessons inspired by my experiences here at Northwestern. I'll call these lessons Aspire, Transpire, and Inspire. So today, you all are aspiring for what's next, those life changes that will define who you are. And this arena is electric with that sense of aspiration, because these wide open opportunities are sitting in front of you, right? Well, in the first grade, I had aspirations. The late Eugene Cernan, he's an Apollo astronaut, and I grew up in the outskirts of Chicago, and he went to my grade school. And in this grade school, there's this giant picture in his big astronaut outfit of Eugene Cernan. In class, we talked about the moon, and I was like fascinated by rockets. And then in December of 1972, Eugene Cernan walked on the moon as the commander of the last US manned lunar landing. That was Apollo 17. It was such an inspiring moment, I remember. I was 7 years old, and to this day I can remember how I felt watching that landing. You know, he was the very first person that inspired me around engineering. And I thought, I want to do something meaningful like that. In fact, yeah, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. So I'm sure Eugene Cernan is somewhere up there. And I just want to say, Eugene, I am here because of you. And I share that because it's so important, the inspirations that we take in our life. But when I got to Northwestern, my aspirations changed. I enjoyed engineering, and I decided I wanted to do something really meaningful. I wanted to direct my engineering talents towards being a doctor who understood engineering. So I loaded up on natural sciences. I bred fruit flies. I put them to sleep. I counted, how many have blue eyes or green eyes. And I always had this little nightmare of like, while they were dead, while they were sleeping under the microscope, they would wake up and they'd like fly in my mouth. No, this was a sign, okay? So the next sign was when I took biochemistry. Biochemistry stopped me in my tracks. I don't know what it was. I couldn't understand the Krebs cycle. I still to this day, I can't tell you what that's about other than sugar. So I was a good student. I was panicking, okay? I was on financial aid. I would go down to the bursar's office. I was taking out giant loans. I am the daughter of a single mom who was working multiple jobs to be able to support my brother and my sisters and me. So paying for college, like this was a real stretch. And so literally, I couldn't afford to fail that class. I couldn't afford to fail that class. So I went to go see my professor, and I was really panicked. And he asked me one simple question. He asked me, do you like this class? Did I like it? Oh my God, it was the bane of my existence. No, I did not like this class. I just didn't understand it. And he said to me, if you don't like this class, you're going to be miserable in medical school. Go find something you're passionate about. And for me, that was easy. I love computer science and electrical engineering, and from that day on, I have never looked back. Now, it's important to note that in that biochemistry class, I got a D. I worked my way out of failing that class to a D, okay? So I think there's a couple of lessons that are in here, but that failure led me to a career I love. And today, I'm a world-class engineer, I'm a business leader, and every day I go to work happy because I am so passionate about what I do. And so, my first lesson, and my hope for you, is to be honest with yourself. Do work that you love. And if you find out that whatever work you've chosen isn't quite it, then keep searching until you do. Please aspire to work at something that you love. So my next lesson is about those sneaky, unexpected events that transpire. You know, the stuff happens kind of thing, testing us, challenging us. And my moment came in 2019 when I was asked to take on the restructuring of a business unit at my company. I was to consolidate 11 global businesses, 45,000 people, and put a whole new business strategy in place. And I was so excited. You know, like when you start the first day, you can't wait to take on something new. I built a strategy. I was getting all of my most senior leaders from around the world together, and we were going to deploy this. This is going to be great. I planned for everything until something transpired. And yes, you guessed it, that was COVID, which was the one thing that was totally not in my business plan. Okay, so borders shut down, planes stopped flying, and I never got to get all of those people together, and yet I still had a job to do. My job became much harder, and I felt tested just like I did back in that biochemistry class. The difference was, I was now doing something that I loved, so I persevered. And I reached back into my training, the training all of you have, and I took a really difficult problem and broke it down into its pieces. I calmed down, and I began to work on them one by one. So, I pushed aside all of my own doubts, which were probably the hardest ones. I built a great business around data and AI, launched a big new global center, put out all kinds of tools, retrained that workforce, and co-sponsored a $3 billion investment in cloud that paid off really big. It was big. And the most important thing is that it was one of the most difficult things that I had ever done. And do you know, it turned out to be one of the most rewarding. And from my experience, it's your engineering education, rooted in whole brain thinking, that has uniquely prepared you to turn what could be a crisis into a big opportunity. So remember, when you're feeling really challenged, when you've got an F in a class, when you take on that new job and you're facing something very difficult, remember to dive in, go back to your training, break the problem down, settle down, figure it out, and everything will be fine. Trust yourself and trust your training. Then, let whatever transpires be your catalyst for growth. All right, my last lesson is about Inspire, and I will make this quick. Many years ago, I got recognized as #1 woman in technology. And you know, that's quite an honor. But I really was on the side going, I don't want to be the #1 woman in technology. Like, I'm a technologist. I just want to be a #1 person in technology. So, one day, I was asked to speak at this huge cloud computing conference, and there were thousands of people there. It was like this, if you've ever been to one of these big Las Vegas meetings, I mean, it's like this huge sea of humanity. And as I walked by, something was weird. Like, something's weird here. I couldn't quite figure it out, and then I started to look around and I realized I had to look to find another woman in the room. It was weird. Remember the era I grew up, there were not a lot of women in engineering? This was odd. So I realized right there that I had to do something. Like, being a woman in tech, it actually did matter. I hadn't seen that, but it was very important. And so I started to do what I could do to carry this responsibility to inspire more girls and women to follow. So I began to co-sponsor all kinds of events to bring women in and train them in areas like cloud and data. I went to events like Grace Hopper, which the faculty had sponsored many of the women engineers from Northwestern to come down, so I always made it a point to see them. And I think that it's important to understand the reason I tell you the story has nothing to do with women in tech. The reason that I share this story with you is because this is about each one of you and what you may not realize yet. Each of you has had your story of getting here today. Everyone is different, but everyone has been a journey with its ups and downs. You are already an inspiration to someone coming up behind you. You might not know that yet, but you can make a difference. So I encourage you to be like that astronaut, Eugene Cernan, who inspired me merely by having his picture on the wall. Do something to inspire someone else. Go back to Day of Code in your grade school. Go talk to other graduates at your high school. Choose to inspire, because that's how change happens. So in closing, I want to close with one of my favorite quotes, Gandhi's, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And the future you are entering, every person in this arena can tell you, has such profound challenges, but almost unimaginable opportunities when you look at it through an engineer's eyes. As whole brain engineers and now graduates of the McCormick School of Engineering, you sit squarely at that nexus of opportunity. And it's your choices that are going to shape our future. So, you're leaving here today, remember, equipped to handle what comes to you, to change our future. So take pride in that, have confidence in what you're leaving with, because our future, it depends on you. So go forward today, embrace change, use it to shape change, and together, be the change that you want to see in the world. Congratulations.